welcome to the Gardener's Workshop live shopping show. It is your friend in flowers, Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm pretty thrilled to be here with you today because it's the perfect day for us to just get reset, right? And before we get started, I just want to send out that our heart is with all of
everyone in California from the fires. We're really sending you our love.
Thank you. So today's show, golly, look, today's show, I am going to be talking about getting back to basics, y'all. Seed starting 101 for indoor seed starting. We're going to do an update on the farm and what we're planting now and what seeds we're starting. I'm going to be having that in-app drawing for one lucky live viewer. And then remember, at the end of the show, we're going to be doing a live Q&A, and I'll answer a few viewer questions. So if you would like to submit a question for me to answer, just in the comments, put @Lisa and then type your question. And Jesse gathers all those up, and then we pick a few to address during the end. But before we get started, I just encourage everybody, if you haven't ever done it before, it's really, really easy to do. Down at the bottom of your screen, there's a share button. And when you share it to let your friends know, that's what just keeps us constantly having so many new viewers join us each week. And I know it's because you guys are inviting your friends, right? So hit that share button to let your friends know that you're here and invite them to come on over. And friends, I don't know if you saw the reel that we posted on social media. Our amazing warehouse team is hard at work tackling the huge amount of orders that we are so grateful to you for. And they're in fact working overtime. The warehouse isn't normally open on Fridays, but they're up there today. Full team is up there continuing to work. We so appreciate your patience as we package and ship your products to you as quickly as possible. You know, this is the busiest season of the year, January, February, and March. And that's why I'm always telling my students, you don't order a month before you need something. You should order several months in advance because stuff like this happens. So don't be left high and dry without maybe row cover or the seed that you need. So just keep that in mind. Now, we just appreciate your support, and it means the world to us. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Please double check here in the app your account for your name and your email address and your phone number. Make sure there's no typos. That we run into that quite frequently. So if you'll double check that, that'll help us because we can't ship your package without a good email address. And remember that here inside the app, seed only orders ship for free. And we love doing that for you guys. Standard product shipping is capped at $9.95. What that means is when you buy products, it doesn't matter how many you buy, you still only pay $9.95, right? And remember, we ship to all 50 of the United States. Now, if you're joining us from social media, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, we are so glad you have found us and dropped in. Sister, can I just ask you this? See how you think that that's too low? See how it looks? Okay. So sorry about that, y'all. We're just doing a little tech stuff. Y'all notice this beautiful new stage set that Suzanne has put together, and we're just kind of continuing to tweak that. Now, if you've joined us on social, we are so glad you found us. But I just want you to know that we have a phone app that just takes your experience over the top. It's called the Gardener's Workshop Live Shop app. And in there, you have more functions like you can make a favorites list, you can replay and watch previous shows, and you can comment, and we can actually see your comments. But most importantly, you can participate in the giveaway. So that's the only place that you can enter. Now, every show, we always sell out of products during the show. So if you go to a product to put it in your cart and it says out of stock, get notified, then I would encourage you to hit the get notified. That simply means we'll send you a notification when it gets put back in stock, because sometimes the team is grabbing more stock from our big website and bringing it over, if that is available. And friends, if you're seeing people post the sunflower emoji, I am just so thrilled when people do that, because that's it. That's in our logo, right? Those are people identifying themselves as the TGW family.
Like Wanda from Alaska, where it's 6 degrees today.
So those are folks that have taken our online courses, and when you become one of our students, you are then our family, and we just appreciate that so much. So today's giveaway is going to be a $25 store credit, which we know that's y'all's favorite. So if you hit the giveaway button, and that will put you on the wait list, which just means that's the list we pick the winner from. You do have to be present and accounted for to claim your free prize. So be sure that you stick around to the end. And we start off every show with my books, because I will tell you that if you want to grow cut flowers, we have you covered in the book department, right? So this is my newest book, the Cut Flower Handbook, that just came out in February. And friends, this has everything: how the cutting garden works, and then how do you build one as small or as big as you want. And then it features 66 different cut flower varieties. And there was a paper laying here. Where is it? The PDF. Here it is. We printed this out so you could see it. So when you purchase the book through us, you also get a bonus PDF. And these are the flowers that didn't make the book. It's actually on your bookmark if you didn't notice that. And these are the flowers that there weren't enough pages, y'all. Did y'all know that the publisher actually gave me 16 extra pages? So this comes to you as a PDF download when you purchase the book from us. So the Cut Flower Handbook plus the flowers that didn't make the book is $30. And I would absolutely love to. And of course, I sign them all. And if you request a special message, we'll be happy to do that too. Thank Valentine's Day, y'all. And then my book, Vegetables Love Flowers. The kind of what's behind this book is my natural gardening philosophy. This is not a book about growing vegetables, y'all. It's about the benefits of having flowers in your vegetable garden. So this is about a little cutting garden dropped into a vegetable patch, how you do that, and all the benefits. And in the back part of the book, it gives you some diagrams to help you understand succession planting, and it explains my natural gardening philosophy. So this book has a bonus also, but it is a video book study. So would love to sign a Vegetables Love Flowers for you. And then, of course, a lot of y'all know about the book that started it all, right? The Cool Flowers was 10 years old last year. And so this is the book I wrote this for the home gardener based on all my years as a flower farmer. And this is the Baby Bite. This is a book that can be digested really quickly to get an understanding of the cool flower concept, right? Then the Cut Flower Handbook goes deeper on that, but this is where you want to start. This book also comes with a free video book study, and I would love to sign one of those for you. So the tip of the day is we're going to talk about cool flowers, y'all. I know that so many of us are deeply concerned. I don't know if you just saw, I posted a reel this morning of me outside in the garden in a coat. It was actually from a couple of years ago. It was me. I was terrified that all my cool flowers were dead because we had a tough up and down winter, as we're having this year. And the video goes on to show you that they all survived. Oh, 9 out of 10%, And so it happens sometimes. It just really depends on a lot of variables. But what I'm here to say is don't fret, don't worry. Restart the seeds. If you think that all of your snaps are dead, now is the time to get them restarted so you can plant in the next window. That is the saving grace, is to be able to just plant them again. I call those insurance plants. And I'm restarting a lot of crops. Bobo spent the day yesterday starting a bunch of stuff because we've just had a really crazy ride here this year. And I'm going to be going through those flowers later in the show here. So today we're going to be talking about seed starting 101 for indoor seed starting. And so first off, why do you want to start seeds? And here's the big difference. When you start your own seeds, you get to plant what you want. When you're buying plants, you get to plant whatever you can get your hands on. And what is available to buy as plants is a small fraction of the seeds that can be started. The different varieties, different colors, all different kinds of stuff. And the only way, in my experience, to get cut flower variety plants is to start your own. That's what really started me down the whole seed starting journey 3 decades ago, right? Is you cannot buy cut flower variety plants because think about it. Most people have landscape. They don't want tall flowers. As cut flower people, we want tall flowers, and that's why you just really won't. They may look like the same flower, but you better read the description because they make zinnias that only grow 12 inches tall. That is not a cut flower zinnia, right? So what is the best way to start seeds? So first off, there are seeds. Some seeds prefer to be started indoors, and others do much better when they start outdoors in the garden. The way that the seed prefers to be started, the easiest way to success is the way you do it. It's not necessarily the way it's convenient for you to actually start the seed. And I've in fact talked to so many people because we just don't understand. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to direct seed everything this year. And it's like, yeah, well, you can do that. Don't expect to get many sprouts, but that just doesn't work. So you have to really zone in and learn which way the seed needs to be started. We include that information on the TGW seed packets. And so today we're going to be covering starting seeds indoors, and we're going to be doing it in soil blocks, which is the way that I do it almost all of the time. So what is it that seeds need to sprout and grow, right? Well, they need heat, they need light, and they need moisture. Those are the three things. So the heat part. So a seedling heat mat is the number one thing that I think that in my experience I've seen people resist embracing. So here's the bottom line. A mass of soil, like on these soil blocks, if you put your finger to these right now, they're really, really cool. That is because soil or any mass typically is about 15 to 20 degrees cooler than the air temperature. So if your home is 70 degrees, that means most likely that wet soil is 55 degrees, which really explains why seeds don't sprout, because most seeds sprout best between 75 to 85 degrees. And so we use a seedling heat mat. And when we're starting warm season seeds, we put the trays, these little either foam or plastic or whatever you're using, directly on the heat mat. But when I'm starting cool season, hardy annual seeds, aka cool flowers, I actually put a cookie cooling rack on the heat mat to create a little space, and I put my trays on that just to cool it down a bit. They still need warmth. They just don't need it hot. And then I lay wide weave burlap on top of the blocks when I put them on the heat. That helps to trap the moisture because most of the seeds that I start are surface sown. And we remove those right when they start, remove the burlap from the blocks as they start to crack. I take the blocks off of the heat mat and put them over to grow lights once about 50% or so show signs of light. Now, grow lights, seedlings need light. And I will tell you, so these snaps, as well as, and we'll talk more about this lettuce tray that I have here, if these had not been under grow lights, under 16 hours a day of light, they'd be so much taller and kind of rangy because they're stretching and looking for light, right? Plants, to grow healthy, stocky little plants, you need 16 to 18 hours of light. And it depends on what type of light you have as to how close it goes, right? And so how much moisture do they need? I water every morning. That's the first job of the day. First thing I do is go in the grow room. And when I go in, the block should be dry or whatever. I have some plug trays in there too right now going with some cuttings in it. Everything should be dry in the morning. And the way that happens is that the air temperature is of such in the room that it, by time, just naturally dries the soil out. And I water. I water this tray. Can I have maybe one of our little watering cans? Oh, how convenient. I have a watering can. So when I water, I just gently pour the water into the tray. And let me show you this. So these are pulled apart to use. See how I kind of leave space in my tray? That's based on the way that I place my blocks. That means that I can pour water up against the end of the tray and not onto my blocks, right? And so once a week, I add the liquid fertilizer to my watering can to water. So they just naturally get that food once a week. Now, I harden off my seedlings. They all need to be acclimated to go outdoors. So we move them outside to toughen them up. Once they're 2 to 3 inches tall, you put them in a sheltered spot so that they're protected from wind and just the elements. And they sit in that space for about 7 to 14 days. And then my goal is to plant them outside. These guys are just on the edge of being big enough. These are snaps, 3 to 5 inches tall. And then you know you've done the job, right? So I'm going to but I want to show you some seedlings before I demonstrate here. Just want to tell you a little bit more. So these are snaps, right? These are a cool flower. These are going to be planted. And then these snaps, we potted up into the 2-inch plant block 2 weeks ago or maybe a week ago. As just imagine that these snapdragons are tomatoes. I would not do this with snapdragons, y'all. These were stand-in because I didn't have any tomato plants. But I wanted to show you how amazingly beautiful. So I don't know if y'all are going to be able to hear this, but I'm going to pause for a moment. No, that wasn't loud enough. Wait a minute. No. When I pull these blocks apart and the roots, I can feel it, but y'all can't hear it. Look at the roots on this. When they are really doing well, when I pull them apart, you can hear the roots pulling. Soil blocks grow the most amazing transplants. If this had been in a container, within a couple of days, it would have already been root bound. This has been in for a couple of weeks, and I'll show you this other side. Look at those. Hear it. Can they really? Somebody said I can hear it. I mean, that's like somebody scratching your back in the right spot. It's like, oh my gosh, I love that. And look at this beautiful little transplant. So I'll show you how I make those and when I use those. So those are snaps growing in the 2-inch block, but we're imagining that that's a tomato plant. And look at this. I'm doing an experiment this year. This is our gourmet lettuce mix. This is my favorite lettuce, hands down. And Jesse and I decided that instead of me planting them out in my big containers, that I'm going to grow and harvest. Y'all, this is a tray of the small blocks that this is growing in. This is how amazing the growing environment is. I almost sheared these off 2 days ago until I found out we were doing this. I'm going to harvest this, and then I'm going to put it back in my grow room under grow lights, and we'll see what it does. But soil blocks are just an amazing environment, and look at this. These were some test transplants that were started, are you ready? September 19th. This is feverfew. This has been growing in this tray. Again, this is 100 of the small blocks, and they're setting to bloom. This is only an example of how healthy this environment is that the seedlings grow in. Totally love that too. All right, so we're going to now go over here, and I'll pot up one of those, Suzanne. I am going to make some soil blocks. So this is the blocking mix. You can either buy it ready-made from us, or we have the recipe that's readily available on our website. You can see it's kind of moist. It's kind of like not soggy oatmeal, but it's pretty moist. And we tell you how much water to add to the soil. This is the small blocker. And you notice this is a potato masher, y'all. This is the tool I use for mixing the water in the soil. It works great. And you need to have a little pile of blocking mix to drive your tool down into. 2 hands on the stationary bar and just push it down. And I push it down twice to make sure that my chambers are full. And then I use the potato masher to strike it off. Now, we use trays that have no drainage holes and are flat, no ridges on the bottom. And I give it a push and a pull. And friends, we just made 20 little containers, right? So let's do that again. So again, you have to make a pile so you have something to actually drive your tool into, right? And notice that I scrape the tool to the right before I pull it up. That's to break the suction. That's sometimes it can get suction to the bottom of the tray. And so this is our large reusable foam tray, and it will hold 3 sets of 20. So this little tray is going to become home to 60 plants. Y'all, you can do this really quick. You strike off the bottom to make it flat. And give it a push and a pull. And there you go. So we just made 60 containers. Now, I'm going to sow some of these tiny little seeds. So these are Ami Magus, which is a seed, they describe it as lightly cover. I use the seed pan because there's no static electricity. So when I touch the toothpick, actually I got 2 seeds on that. Can y'all, I can't see what they're seeing. Can they see?
Yes.
You can see it. Okay. So I actually picked up 2 seeds. Yeah. And so let's try to get the other one off. You don't want to pick up 2 seeds because it just makes it a pain in the neck. And so my story is that don't put too many seeds in your pan, just enough. And you see I just popped one up. And then I am just going to firmly seat the seed down into the block a little bit because it says lightly cover. And that's what I'm going to do. I picked up 2 seeds again. Some seeds naturally cluster. And y'all, that's just literally how easy it is to sow the seeds. So that's sowing tiny seeds. You just follow the instructions on your seed packet, whether it needs to be covered or not. Now I want to make some of the 2-inch blocks. Now the only time that I use the 2-inch blocker is when either I'm going to pot something up, which I'll tell about in a second, or the seed is too big to go in the small block. So the 2-inch blocker, which is what this is, comes with this nipple. And that makes an indentation for a seed to be received. Well, you can pop those out and put the insert in there, which is this black insert. And that makes a perfect hole to receive a 3/4 inch block, which you're going to see me do here in just a moment. I rarely do this, but when I do it, I really need it. I do it for tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, eucalyptus, and it just grows an amazing transplant. And let me show you.
And you just leave the inserts in there and use it for big seeds too.
Right. So what Suzanne is mentioning is that sometimes it's just easier to leave that insert in there. So like if I wanted to start a large seed, I don't pop this off and put the white nipple back in is what she's telling us. And I'd forgotten about that. I just drop the seed in this big hole and then put a little dab of soil on top of it and I'm ready to go. So the reason that I don't use this for so many of the seeds that get bumped up is you have far better germination and success and space savviness starting in the small block versus with this. And it's the volume of soil. So this technique is just a little bit different. You can see I'm going from side to side and making sure the end block is getting a lot of soil in it. Making a 2-inch set of blocks takes 12 times the volume of soil, and it only makes 4 blocks. So you can see. So this is the tray that will hold 8 of these blocks. And when the soil is moist, sometimes it'll suction. But I just made 4 incredible containers that quickly. Now let me show you, we are once again going to pretend that this little snapdragon is a tomato transplant, right? And so I want it to grow a little bit bigger before it goes to the garden. For those of you that actually live in more north where you have shorter growing, this is really beneficial to do. You literally just tuck the roots in, give it a little push, and friends, that is what transplant potting up looks like. And so again, you see, look at the roots on this little snapdragon. And you literally just push this straight in. And that is potting up. They're going to grow in that block until they go to the garden. Versus the small stuff I start in the small block does the very same thing. They grow in this small block until they go to the garden. That's the whole point, right? So that is the small blocker. All right, so now how can you get started doing this, right? So our number one customer favorite product, it has been for over a decade and a half, is the Soil Block Maker Kit. And this comes with everything you need to get started making soil blocks. So this includes the small blocker. You know, we import these from England. I have to tell you all a little story about this. So we just had a customer that reported about this. So these are made in England. The Ladbroke is who founded it. And then about 10 or 15 years ago, a set of sisters bought this from Mr. Ladbroke when he retired. And we've come to be fast friends with them, and they make an incredible, they've been making soil blockers since the beginning of time, right? Well, they experienced, and we did too, that all of a sudden out on the open market, a bunch of counterfeit soil blockers became available. They actually had the Ladbroke name on them. Total counterfeits. And they were so much less expensive. That's why we were hearing about people like, oh my gosh, we're going to go get our soil blockers over, here because it's like half the price of yours. Well, friends, they were junk. I talked to people that said they couldn't even make blocks with them. Buying from a trusted source where is just so very, very significant, right? I can't even tell you how hard it was. They still have those counterfeits are out being circulated. So you just have to be really careful and know that you buy from a reliable source, that you're really getting what you think you're getting. And our experience with the soil blockers really opened our eyes to that. I just didn't even know people did that. It was just really, really crazy. So this is an original, real Ladbroke tool. And so this is the small blocker, which you just saw me do. This kit also comes with 5 of those large trays, which hold 3 sets of 20. Comes with 3 packs of seeds, the seed pan, the toothpicks, and some little plant markers. And you get to select whether you would like 3 packs of cool season seeds or 3 packs of warm season seeds. And friends, it comes with my seed starting made easy course, which will take you from beginning to end on soil blocking. It teaches you how to direct seed out in the garden, and it also shows you how to sow seeds in the plug trays, the sunflowers, as well as using the commercial soil blocker, the Swift blocker. So you get that, and you get a 6-quart bag of the blocking mix that's included. And this bag actually will make about 600 of the small blocks or 32 of the 2-inch blocks. Like, isn't that amazing? So you get all of this, and it's all 20% off, y'all. This is the deal of the day. So this is regularly $89.95. Today through Sunday morning, or while supplies last, it's $71.96. What a deal. That's like an $18 savings. And so that is always been a favorite. Now, we have also made another part of this deal is we have put together the 2-inch blocker and the inserts that you can install. So it comes with the nipples that you just pop them out, and then you install the inserts. So this is normally $55.90, on sale for $44.72. So you can get the soil block maker kit and this set and be ready to roll to make soil blocks of any size that you actually need. Now, we created this make your own blocking mix kit or set, you want to say, because we have so many people that are making their own blocking mix at home. So this is your make your own blocking mix. When you buy this stuff separate, it's $62.80. What does it include? It includes a bag of the compost that you use in your recipe. It's a 6-quart bag. It includes the cocoa fiber, which you can use in place of peat moss. And you drop this into water and it just swells right up, right? So it includes that. It also includes the nutrient mix, which is the DIY nutrient. And most importantly, it includes the sieve, y'all, the sifter. We recommend sifting even our ready-made mix, right? Everything should be sifted for seed starting, not just soil blocking. This fits perfectly on the top of a 5-gallon bucket. And so this is probably my funnest tool that we actually have. And so everything is available separately here except the cocoa brick. You have to go over to our big website to get that. So the whole set is $58.95, and that's about a $5 savings. So that'll get you ready to go and to make your own blocking mix. Now, I already showed you um, the trays that we use. These are foam, but y'all, these are reusable. These are not meant to be disposable. We use them for years, literally. This is the mini tray, which holds one set of 20. It's a 5-pack for $1.95 or a 25-pack for $6.95. This is what we start all of our tomatoes and peppers and all that stuff that we don't need a vast amount of in. Then we have what we call the small tray. This is what I put those 2 inchers on, but it also holds 2 sets of 20. And again, $2.95 for a 5-pack or $12.95 for a 25-pack. And this is the one that comes in the kit. This is the large tray. 5 of them for $3.95 or a 25-pack for $15.95. And they hold 60 of the small blocks. And we just use them over and over and over again. And while I'm thinking about that, the next up is our pen. This is the waterproof, UV proof pen that does not fade. We just use masking tape, y'all, on our trays. We just put a piece of tape on the end. We write the date and what it is, and it just does not fade. But it also works really great on wood. This is one of the markers from my garden from 2 years ago. This is Royal Mix. Those are sweet peas. And this was outside in the garden for over a year. And you can see it's hardly even faded. This little garden marker is one of the best things that we sell. We have them all over this farm because you can count on it being there when you need to know what you actually started. So here's that seedling heat mat that I was talking about. And so this heat mat has a built-in thermostat. That's what this little bumpy thing is back here. And that thermostat works off of the air temperature. And this heats up 15 to 20 degrees warmer than the air temp to get your soil warm enough to make your seeds sprout. This stays on for 24/7 while you're going. I mean, ours get plugged in this time of the year and stay on all year because we're constantly moving seedlings through. You can fit about 4 of those trays on here, so you can start a lot of seedlings at one time. This is $39.95, and in my opinion, that is the secret weapon that most people skip, and it's the number one reason why people cannot get their seeds to sprout because the soil's too cold, right? This is the wide weave burlap that I mentioned that I lay on top of the soil blocks to help retain moisture. I use this in place of plastic or domes. Make the blocks, put them on the heat mat, lay this on top of it. Tomorrow morning, I would come in, pull the burlap back, water, do my chores, and then I put it back. But once they start to sprout, of course, you remove it. So this comes in a 3-foot square piece, and you can get 1 for $3.95 or 3 for $9.95, right? And so that's just one of those things that's just one of those little tools that just really help. So I don't know if you happen to be one of my flower farming students and attended the boot camp that we had last night where I did a special harvesting and conditioning training. Well, one of the things that I wanted to teach about was how to resurrect flowers that are wilted. And I just so happened to have had a cut flower kale stem that we used here on this show 2 weeks ago. Then it sat in a bucket here. The water dissipated, so it got dry. And then Bobo threw it in the compost heap 2 days ago. So it sat over there in the compost heap. Well, I thought last night, gosh, I really wished I had a wilted flower to be able to dip in quick dip. Well, I went and got that. So last night, I dipped that stem into quick dip. And friends, I'm telling you, it's a miracle. Look at this. This thing last night was totally drooped. I cut about 2 inches off of the stem to get rid of the dried up part, right? Dipped it into the quick dip, and it's like brand new now. Now I'm going to have to keep it in water, so we'll have to check in on it every week. Quick dip, which is this, is a what they call a instant hydrating treatment. Well, instant not as in it's like instantly makes it come up, but within a few hours. So with this morning when we came out, we actually saw this. I literally just dipped that stem. I poured some into a little saucer, dipped the end of the stem for about 20 or 30 seconds. That dilates and opens up the veins, if you want to think of it that way, in the stem to allow water to get up. And friends, it actually works. I mean, it works so well. We actually put this in this is not on the instructions. This is a little insider tip. I put 2 tablespoons of this in the harvest bucket of those flowers that tend to be wilty, like Indian summer rudbeckia, basil, anything that Chinese forget-me-nots. Some of those crops that no matter when you do everything right, they still wilt. So we use that only in those harvest buckets, and then we use it for resurrecting cut flowers. If you buy roses, their heads are down, this will fix it. Hydrangeas, wilted, dip them, put them in the fridge, and the next morning you come out, they'll be back to their original state. So this is $17.95, and that is a 16-ounce bottle, and could not live without that stuff. All right. So, what do I fertilize with? Every Wednesday or every Monday, I add Neptune's Harvest seaweed fish. So I just add this to my watering can, so it's no additional chore to do. And it is seven. Oh, I just went black. There you go, $18.95. And this is it's like 1 tablespoon per gallon. So I use a tablespoon a week, so it lasts a really long time. You can use it out in the garden. You can use it as a foliar feed. Love this stuff. And that's Neptune seaweed fish. And this is my new first love. Y'all, have you heard about the compost tea bags that we have? So this is literally looks like a little fat, oversized tea bag. And they come in a bag of 12. And you literally, what I do I'm going to use this, when I finish my watering chores this morning, I fill the gallon back up in the watering can and drop this in. And then the next day, it takes 24 hours to steep. Then you water, and it just really increases the microbes and the microorganisms. It's just all that good stuff that compost does. And then I just rip the baggie open and put it in my garden or in a pot. I mean, it's just high quality, great compost in there. It makes making compost tea super simple, right? Comes in a 12 pack, and it's $18.95, and I really, really love those. And so look at this. Sister, what is our favorite thing to do with this?
To put a little short bouquet in here.
Yep.
Cut your flowers off and put them in here. It's beautiful.
Um, you know, I mean, it's just great to have multitasking products. Speaking of that, do y'all see all these vases back here? I'll tell that story sometime, but Suzanne reset the stage this morning, and many of those are family heirlooms and just various things. And this little guy should have a spot up there also, I think. Vases are beyond glass, right? So this is the little espresso, is it espresso? Watering can. Holds 2 cups of water. It's stainless steel. Great for house plants and watering your soil blocks, but then you can also use it for bouquets. It's $31.95, and this has become a customer favorite. Now, row cover. Who's using row cover right now? I've got so many row covers, y'all. I use the lightweight row cover to get maximum air and light penetration and water penetration. Whenever I feel threatened and I need to have extra protection, I just put a second layer down. This comes at 6.5 feet wide. It comes in a 20, 50, and 100-foot piece. It's lightweight and reusable. It's not stretchy. We use it with and without the hoops. You can find those metal hoops over on our big website. The 20-foot long piece is $12.95. 50-foot is $26.95. 100-foot piece is $42.95. And then we even have longer pieces available over on our website. In my thinking, I want row cover. I want enough row cover that I can cover my entire garden if I need to, and then to have enough that I can double cover a portion of it. And so row cover is one of those insurance policies that you just want. You may not use it all the time, but when you need it, you need it. And how I hold those row covers down is our anchor bags. These are sandbags, y'all. And you fill them from the top. They have this drawstring that you literally gather it up and wrap it around and then tie it off. My goal is to put 15 pounds of either sand, gravel, or soil, and that's what holds our row covers down. So you can get a 10-pack for $10.95, a 25-pack for $24.95, or a 50-pack for $39.95. And so now we have returning and some new products. Oh my goodness, y'all. This is the container protection kit. So if you ever planted a container and then the varmints get in there and upturn everything, or you might have some lettuce planted and you don't want anybody messing with it and uprooting and messing with your seeds. So we created what we've named the container protection kit. This is a piece of insect netting that's big enough. How big is that piece? I think it's 6x6. There's a 6x6 piece, so it's made for a big container, right? And we have the grow through that you install to create a hoop effect, so it's up off of your plants. And then we give you some of our flexi tie to actually tie the belt around your container to hold it in place. This will stop the squirrels and the birds dead in their tracks. So this is $21.95, and you can you'll get the flexi tie, the insect netting, and the grow through, which is 12 inches. I mean, that's for a big container because you don't need it for the full size. You just need it to hold it up. And absolutely love that.
And now it's just
And you can, right. So you can purchase the grow through separately. You can purchase everything separately, right? And so this is just a great way to help, especially if you want to plant lettuce and stuff. This time of the year, it really, really works well. So we love this giant scoop. I mean, it's pretty big, y'all. Look at that. You can get a lot of soil, and it's large capacity. It's got a really comfy hand. I love using this in our raised beds, in our container garden for mixing soil. This is $18.95, and I actually dig plants up with this too. Totally love that. And look at this one. This is what we call the serrated scoop. Look at the edges of this. This is what I would use if I had to do it again. I would use this to dig up my Lenten rose babies because it just makes getting down and scooping them. It has measurements on here, and see how it's dished? It's got a really nice handle. It's got a point so you can do all kinds of stuff with that. And this, I just love having the measurements on there as well. So this is our serrated scoop / spoon. It's $25.95. And I've only been using this for less than a year and absolutely in love with the quality and with all the things that it'll actually do for you. Suzanne, tell us about your favorite tool.
So this is our trach. I love planting plants in my garden with this because it extends my arm. So when I'm trying to rake up soil or get leaves or mulch out of the way to be able to plant, it gives me a really long reach. And you can either dig with it this way or this way. And it's great to get back up off the ground too. You can lean on it to lift yourself up. But this is just the tool I always go to when I'm planting or messing around in the garden. You can also weed with it. It's $31.95 and it has a rake on one end and a trowel on the other. It's cast iron aluminum with a vinyl grip. And it's narrow, so you can really get into those tight spaces in your landscape or in your flower garden with this guy.
And we have sold that for years.
Yes, we sold this at shows, and it was very popular. And I've given them, to my kids to use in their
And I
yard.
think the older you get, the more you appreciate not having to get up and relocate. You can reach further with it. That's why she just loves that tool. And so these are our Joyce Chin snips. She loves these also. I use these for pinching my transplants. I just cut them. It's much easier to use. They're good for in the kitchen. They're for right or left-handed folks. It's a stainless steel blade. They're $35.95, and Joyce Chins have been around for decades. We love these scissors. Flower arranging, kitchen use, plant tending, whatever you've got. So these are called the wicked waterers. And so we sold these for years before they designed this little, what do they call this thing? A valve. So this is basically a cotton string that you put one end in your plant and the other end into a water source, like a bowl of water, and it wicks the water into your plant. Well, this little valve that they've created is brilliant because that way you can push it much deeper into your pot. This is what you use when you go away. Totally love it. It comes with 4 valves and how many strings? 6 wicks. We sold these forever.
And this little valve turns. I didn't realize that. So I guess that you can adjust how much water it actually takes into your plant. So if it's not getting enough water, you could open up the valve. If it's getting too much, you can just tighten
It
it
says
down a little bit.
controlled watering. Yeah, that's cool. So this is for when you go away. So that is $15.95. You get 4 valves and 6 wicks, and that does a super great job. So this is another favorite we brought back, the copper plant markers. There's 25 in the pack. This is how they come, and they're $21.95. They age beautifully, y'all, and you actually use a ballpoint pen to engrave them. Right? They're 10 inches tall. The label is 2 5/8 by 7/8 high. And this is one of those things, especially for perennials and stuff out in your garden, trees, shrubs. This is the way to do that. All right, so pot pads. Don't ruin your deck anymore with large pots. You put these pads on the bottom, which not only make them easier to move and scoot, but the water can drain and it doesn't stain your deck, right? So these are $16.95. There's 4 per pack, and they're 2 inches by a ½ inch tall. And especially for scooting the pots, it works really, really well.
And how many pounds will they hold?
Oh, that's right. Do you guess how many pounds they'll hold? 3,000 pounds. So you can actually, Suzanne says she moves furniture in her house on these. All right, y'all. This is our little tiny baby scoop. This was made for bird feeders. It does a great job of that. You can scoop up the bird seed and pour it in. I can see a lot of fun stuff you can do with this. This is made in England. It holds 1 cup of product, and it's $7.95. And totally love this little guy. Love that. This is a favorite for sure. This is our kitchen compost bucket. We all have one. This has a kind of tight fitting top. We found in my experience, you do not need a filter. If you empty your compost heap from your kitchen a couple times a week, you shouldn't be putting anything smelly in there anyway. It's all vet produce based stuff. And it just fits perfectly and has lots of different uses. We have sold hundreds of these kitchen composters at shows. People really, really loved them. It's $15.95, and it doesn't look bad either, right? It kind of looks okay. Y'all, we are bringing back the Slug X. They're back in stock. And if you have slugs, and we're getting ready, we're heading into slug country time, right? This is the Slug X. And so the way this works is you lift the top off. Look. Susie made little slugs, y'all. So we have actors. So these are the slugs. There's another one. All right. We have to name them. Now, what you do is pour beer into these wells, and then you put, I don't think we're going to open it. Then you put the top back on, and that protects the beer from weather and dogs drinking it, which our dog loves to eat pickled slugs. So the slugs then smell. Pabst Blue Ribbon is the beer of choice of slugs because of the amount of yeast, the smelliness of it. Then the slugs go in the little side doors, and you open this up, and the wells are full. You can hose it out with a hose and make it really quick and easy, and you won't believe how many of these fellas that you actually catch. So this is $19.95. The Slug X is another UK product. We absolutely love this guy, and their season is just right around the corner. Then, friends, look at this super cushy kneeler. It's 2 inches thick, y'all. My man uses one of these to work on his Harley. It is 15 by 20. It's lightweight, only weighs 20 ounces, and it's made in the USA, y'all. It's $42.95, and it's got a handy little carry-in handle. Really love this. I actually gave one of these to all the team members last year, I think it was. We really love that guy. I couldn't let cold weather go by without saying, this is when I'm wearing the black tough gloves. These are just like the colored ones, except they're a little bit more heavy duty and a little thicker. And this is the ones that I'll be wearing this afternoon when I go out to do my chores in the garden. They just keep your hands a little bit warm. They, by all means, are not thermal, but they are more protective than the lightweight ones. And they come from small to extra large. One pair is $7.95, or you can get a 4-pack for $24.95. Totally love that. Y'all, did y'all see my post the other day? This is the best snow hat around. This is what I wore out in the snow when I was working in the garden trying to get it covered up, or uncovered actually. And this is our pith helmet. Totally love it because it has an adjustable headband inside, Velcro, so you can make it for any size. It's great in heat as well as now I love it for snow. Reminder, y'all, $25 giveaway. Get in quick before, because I'm going to be picking it in just a moment. Just tap the buy button or the giveaway button at the top, and that'll put you on the list. So in case you joined us late, I'm going to be doing a little Q&A at the very end of these flowers. And you can post in the comments at Lisa and put whatever your question is, and I'll answer some of those. So I always remind you before we do seeds, storing your seeds properly means you can buy seeds when you meet the flower, and it'll be ready and waiting for you when it's the proper time to start them. These are desiccant packs, which absorb moisture. You can get a 2-pack for $2.95 or a 10-pack for $9.95. You put these in the container, they absorb the moisture and keep your seeds healthy and viable. All right, so first up, so we have some of the dried flowers here to show you, but I also have the fresh cards. I don't have any stock. Stock is a plant that's what Bobo started yesterday. So I need to say now, before we start the flowers, everything you're seeing today are flowers that we have just started here again. Some because I'm afraid we may have lost, some because of this crazy conditions that we're going through right now. Crazy meaning no snow, really low temperatures, then snow, then wind, then snow, then no snow. It's just crazy. So we're restarting some. And I would say to you, restart any seed indoors that you're worried about. Why not have backup? Seed is inexpensive, right? But stock is a part of our always very early spring. I don't plant it in the fall. So if you're worried about cool flower transplants that might not have survived winter that you planted in the fall, start them again now and have them ready to go in the garden at your very early spring planting time. That's what I'm doing. Stock. We love stock. Bobo started every color you see here in the app. This is the cherry blossom, which is really beautiful. And then it also, white is the universal color. We never have enough white flowers. Stock is a 1 bloom per plant. We plant it tight, 8 rows in a 30-inch bed. So start a lot of seeds and pack them in. And we get them to bloom for Mother's Day normally. So we'll see about that this year. Then we have safflower. This is really beautiful, fresh. But let me show you what it looks like dried. This is one of the sturdiest plants. Love this stuff. And we fall plant it and very early spring plant it. And straw flowers are a universal great dried flower. And we plant it in very early spring only. And this is what it looks like dried. I mean, these are last year's, y'all. They hold their color. I mean, look at that, how close they are, right? And then this is one I really love. This is cress. This is the green dragon, which we now have available. Oh, I guess it's not available. So get on the wait list. That's right. We're sold out because we had some. And this is what it looks like fresh. It's lime greeny. Love this stuff. All right, then another favorite. And all these, the seeds can be started indoors now. This is Atriplex, y'all. Look at these seed heads. You'll send me more beautiful. Look what it looks like fresh. That's the green.
We're on the red right now. Do red.
Oh, sorry. Red. Look at that. That's the fresh seed pod. Totally love this stuff. And then the green, the most universal, useful plant. Just be sure that you protect it from the deer. It's in the spinach family, and they love Atriplex as much as I do. So beware. All right, next up. Oh, this is another great one. Amobium. And this looks almost as good dried as it does fresh. This looks like, see how it's just really yellow? It looks like a cross between a straw flower and a feverfew. Totally love this stuff. Really, really useful. And another one that can be planted now, y'all, this is dried Rudbeckia. So this Rudbeckia here is actually the Goldilocks, which is my favorite because it's the first Rudbeckia to bloom on my farm. That would not be true if you planted it now, but it's time to replant it again. I really like planting this time of the year the Indian summer variety because they get super tall regardless of when they're planted, and they're just a really great. This is one of the first cut flowers I ever started back 30 years ago, right? Then this is a favorite of folks. This is the Scabiosis Ping Pong. Look at those seed pods, y'all. Isn't that beautiful? It's really pretty fresh. Look how the color is. This is a very sought after fresh cut flower. And it's a cool flower that we plant in fall and in very early spring, right? Look at this dried Ami Magus. Isn't that the coolest look? Now, if you're not familiar, Ami Magus is the Queen Anne's lace look-alike. So everybody thinks it is, but it's Ami. And this is out of Africa. And I'm pretty sure ours are dead. I mean, they are on the edge. They're super sensitive, even in I'm in zone 8, and they can get winter killed because I feel like maybe, anyway, I'm starting them again. Bobo started them yesterday. Totally love them, and they're a really cool dried flower. And then look at this. If you have not grown Monarda limbata, this is a bee balm. Looks so different than all the other bee balms. And here it is dried, y'all. This is the coolest flower. And it is super winter hardy. Well, if there's one that I would say hands down is pulling through out there, it's this. Love this stuff. Oops. And then there's everybody's favorite, number one seed, I think, just under zinnias, is bunny tails. Everybody loves these. So they're a little short, but they're super useful, and they don't look much different fresh than they do dried, but they are super soft, y'all. Totally love them. And then also another great fresh flower is Status, y'all. Love growing the mix for bouquets and then drying it. This is over a year old, and look how great the colors look. And that's the mix. Really love that. And then we're going to just wrap it up here with our vegetables. So now's the time to also plant cool season, hardy annual vegetables. And I grow in large containers this time of the year, so if I had to drag them in, I could. But love growing the radishes.
Do we have a veggie planter?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So if you aren't sure when you can start cool season or any vegetable, this is the vegetable planter. The red line is your frost date because it moves. You move it, and then it tells you when to start, when you can plant. It has spring on one side, or actually this is the fall side, and then it has spring on the other side. This little slide is packed with so much information, y'all. It'll tell you everything you need to know, and it's $5.95, right? This is just a really great one. All right. So the radishes, my husband will eat radishes with every meal. This is the Easter egg radishes, which are just really, we like to get them small and pull them out. They're really great. And in big containers, they do really, really well. And I love this one. This is the French breakfast radish. They're kind of long and skinny. And I always say to him, which one's your favorite? He said, well, I just like them all. So there you go. Now, parsley, we have both. This is the flat parsley, which was always my mother-in-law's favorite. They're cool season, y'all. You can start the seeds and get them going in a container and just have tons of parsley for garnish and for flavoring, as well as the curly parsley, which that is really beautiful too. How about having a vase of this sitting on your counter that you can rustle up, right? And then for all of you cilantro fans, cilantro is a cool season hardy annual. Looky there. Plant it and start the seed and plant it in a container, and you'll have your own chipotle rice at home, right? And this, my friends, is my all-time favorite lettuce. This is the one you saw growing in the 3/4 inch block. This is the gourmet mix. Totally love it. Come and cut and come again. Cut and it regrows. Cut and it regrows over and over and over again. Now, this is the greens mix. If you do any stir frying, this has some spicier stuff in it. You can also add it to your salad. I just love having the control to be able to cut my own, to harvest my own lettuce. So I can get it when it's young. And this, my friends, is the most tasty kale. It's called Black Magic. And you can grow this in a container, and you can grow it to harvest it tiny to put it in your salads. It's really good for you. Everybody should be eating kale. And in probably about 4 or 5 weeks, it's time for us to plant our peas outside. These are bush peas. And so it's time to get those guys going. They like it cool. And so it's time to wrap up, friends, and remember to stick around to the very end for the Q&A. Just want to remind everybody that over at thegardenersworkshop.com, we have so many resources, y'all, for you. There's videos, blogs, we have podcasts, and be sure to check out both of our podcasts. We have Field and Garden, which I host, as well as Seed Talk with Lisa and Lane. And yesterday's episode that dropped was planning your growing season with a wall calendar. And so Seed Talk really hones in on what is happening at the time. So that is a really great one. And of course, you can listen on our website, but you can also listen to them on your favorite podcast app, wherever you listen. So I am hosting Ask a Flower Farmer this coming Wednesday inside of Instagram at 12:30 Eastern Time at the Gardener's Workshop Farm. And remember to meet us back here next week. Next week's theme is soil block making mix. I'm going to be making the recipe, y'all. That'll be great. So I'll be making my own blocking mix from scratch. And friends, it is time to announce the winner of our $25 store credit, and I hope you're here. I love giving stuff away, y'all. So we love it when y'all participate. And so the lucky winner is Amanda Young. Amanda Young. Are you here, Amanda? Give us a big old shout out inside there in the comments. And then once the girls see you're here, they will drop a $25 credit right into your cart. So when you go to checkout, you'll have $25 credit. So thank you so much, Amanda. I hope you are here. So friends, stick around for the Q&A. And if you're checking out, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it so much. Oh, Amanda's here. Congrats, Amanda. I'm so glad. That's just so fun, right? To be able to have a $25 head start on your order. All right, so the first question is the Fort V mix bag, is that 3 parts soil to 1 part water? Yes. So whatever blocking mix you're using, whether it's a ready-made or you make the recipe, we find the best consistency is 3 parts of soil, 1 part of water. Suzanne, will you hand me that measuring cup so I can just show? Let me tell you the really easy way to figure that out. Is I have a measuring cup that I use for, actually I have 2 of them. I have a wet one and I have a dry one. And actually there's an affiliate link on our website under Want to Be a Flower Farmer. At the very bottom, you can go straight to this. This is an 8-cup measuring cup. This is what I measure 3 of these of my soil mix, and then 1 full of water. That's 3 to 1, y'all. It just, because when you get busy, we just open up the mix and there's the measuring cup. 3 of those and then fill one with water. And that works really, really well. Is there such a thing as too much compost? Yes. Your book says to add in compost with every new planting. Is there a risk of having some nutrients in excess? So when you're in a working cutting garden and because whether it's a vegetable garden, an herb garden, or a vegetable or a cutting garden, flowers, because we're planting and replanting, we're really demanding a lot from the soil. Putting down 1 to 2 inches of compost at each flip is really not excessive. Yes, if you put 4 or 5 inches, yes, you could do that. But if your soil is alive, and I mean, that's a really great question. I'm reading the rest of it. Is it some nutrients in excess? One of the ways that I try to prevent getting too much of a good thing is I jump around to different types of compost. For instance, there's mushroom compost, there's cow manure compost, there's leaf mold compost, there's the compost my city makes. There's lots of different sources, and they're all good if they're cooked. And I like reusing, going back like every year, like I'll go get a load of mushroom compost, right? And then the next year I wouldn't do that. And that can help with that also. So not using the same thing over and over again. What is your room temperature when starting your cool flower season seeds? It's a great question. Typically the room is 65 to 70 degrees. And that keys my heat mat, and also is a great temperature for cool season hardy annuals. Do your seedlings harden off outside with natural light? Yes. I have a carport right off this building that protects them from rain, because soil blocks, can't be in direct rain. It gets morning sun and afternoon sun, but it's protected during the heat of the day and the wind. So yeah, they go out there. My goal is in warm season, a couple of weeks, cool season, about a week. What size soil blocks do you recommend for beginners? Hands down, small blocker. I mean, that's the one I use most of the time, and it's just the easiest one to be the most successful with. It uses less blocking mix, and a smaller block is easier to keep evenly moist and warm, which is the problem with larger, like the large block. Think about having that big 2-inch block and putting a little teeny seed on top. The likelihood that that entire block is going to be evenly moist and warm is slim. That's why we can't get them to sprout. In that smaller block, it's just easier to maintain them. So the soil block maker kit, hands down, because it's got the course, would be the where to go. I'm expecting up to 3 inches of snow. Should I cover my cool flowers that were fall planted? They're well established. So no, you always take covers down when any frozen precipitation is actually coming. So even if you were using row, we use row cover to enhance cool flowers, not to help them survive. So in snow and even ice, when it coats your garden, is a far better insulator than even a row cover is. So row covers down with any frozen precipitation. And if you planted what is winter hardy in your winter hardiness zone, they should be absolutely fine. So here's another question. I'll take this one and maybe one more. Can you make soil blocks a couple of weeks in advance, or only when you're planting them? You can, but I have found that it's more labor intensive, because to rehydrate them is kind of difficult. So think about, I mean, even when Bobo's here making them, she'll make 2 or 3 trays and then she'll stop and sit down and sow those seeds. Not because it needs to be done that quick, because she just likes breaking the monotony of what she's doing. But if you let them sit for 2 weeks, then they have to be rehydrated. You have to do something to keep them from floating, because it takes a lot of water to rehydrate them. They float, and then they aren't clustered together properly, which really helps to keep them evenly moist, so there's just a lot of downfall. So you can, but I wouldn't do it. How many foam trays fit on the small heat mat? 4 of, so
They're all the same width.
they're all the same width. The large tray, which holds 60, you can put 4 of those across that heat mat, which is 240 small blocks. There are so many benefits, y'all, and I'm going to wrap up with this. There are so many benefits to using the small blocker. From it is incredibly space savvy. I mean, that's just a perfect example. You can fit either 240 small blocks or probably about 30 large blocks of the 2-inch blocks. You need the 2-inch blocker for like zucchini and squash. You need it at times, sweet peas, but you don't need it most of the time. And by using the small blocker, it makes space savviness. They're easier to germinate. They use less soil. The blocking mix, whether you're making yourself or buying it, it's just a little bit more, needy. And so the small blocker is definitely the way to go.
Please
All right.
change this one because it's about the product we talked about.
Could wicks help water soil blocks when you're gone? No. So in a pot, think about a container. It's full of a mass of soil. Soil blocks are cut apart individually. And so no, soil blocks need to be watered daily by somebody. If you start siege and you have a babysitter or stay home. Do you know how many people have shown up when I've done it in person or I've gone to a conference somewhere? I will say that this has happened at least a dozen times that I can think of. People come up to me after I speak and say, "Guess what?" And I say, "What?" They said, "I have my soil blocks out in the car because I take them in the hotel with me because they didn't want to leave them at home." It's that important, y'all. Just saying. All right, friends, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me and hope to see you back here next week. And remember, 2 things. We have 2 apps available. Both of them are free. There's the Gardener's Workshop Live Shop, which you may be on right now if you're watching in the app. We have another app. It's called Gardener's Workshop Learn, and that hosts my Flower Farmer Club as well as all of my online courses. So if you've bought courses and you're in the club, you would all be in one app. But here's the bonus, and it's a free app. You don't have to pay anything for it. And we have a little bonus for you in there when you download it. I've made a free course that's in there. It's about building that trellis tunnel that I have here on my farm, that 50-foot long tunnel that I grow all that stuff on. We've made a little course on that, how I did that, and it's in that free Learn app that you can get. And then if you've got our courses or your membership, or you're in my membership, that'll all be in one place together. All right, friends, till we meet again, I hope to see you on Wednesday. And everybody try to stay warm during all this crazy weather. Ciao.